installation will be a doubled-in installation in the fact that the actual radio module, along with the plastic housing that mounts the ELEV8 touch panel screen to the dash, will both be located in the doubled-in opening. The factory aesthetic of this vehicle has many factory buttons that will be typically blocked by the radio if the ELEV8 was to mount in this factory dash panel. Since we will be using a best kit replacement dash kit, all of the buttons that we see here will be removed because these functions will now be within the actual ELEV8's menu. To further integrate into the vehicle for steering wheel controls and all of our power connections and data connections to the vehicle, we're going to use a pack RP 4.2 TY11 that will give us all of the proper connections and data transfer from the radio into the vehicle in order for the actual ELEV8 to work properly. This particular interface will also allow us to integrate into the factory steering wheel controls and the factory backup camera, along with using the CAM TY12 rear camera retention harness. The factory radio itself also had a USB auxiliary input down in the center pocket, so with that we're going to use the pack USB TY1 in order to retain that function in the vehicle. In order to keep the AM/FM radio working, we're going to use a Best Kit's BAA44 antenna adapter in this installation. Now, one of the biggest features on ELEV8 that we've talked about is the ability for you as a consumer to be able to retain functions from your phone to connect into the vehicle via the USB cable or the HDMI input. With that, we're going to use the pack HDMI USB CBL and mount it in the center console so that you can mirror your phone through the HDMI or plug any other device, streaming device, into the HDMI input and use all this through the ELEV8 screen. Right. Before you begin installation, it's always helpful to figure out exactly which mounting configuration the ELEV8 will be in your particular vehicle. There are 4 possible configurations: single DIN, where the actual monitor mounts in the dash with the radio module mounted remotely; double DIN, with the actual touch panel on top with the radio module on the bottom; double DIN with the radio module on top and the screen on bottom; and there's many other custom installations that can be applied as well. For further information on that, you should refer back to our video that can be located either on our AMP Global Brand Central site or on the Stinger website itself. Let's begin the installation.
Ready.
Okay. First thing we're going to do is take the dash apart. We're going to put the emergency brake on, turn on the dash, because this particular vehicle is going to need the gear shifter taken out of part so that we can take the dash apart. I'm going to start to remove the center console. When installing the ELEV8 into the dash kit, be mindful that certain screws are meant to connect into the plastic housing and certain machine screws are meant to actually bolt the radio module to the actual kit itself. What we're going to do now is do a test fit. It's always recommended that you do test fits to see exactly how much space the monitor is going to sit in the dash. With this particular doubled-in installation, we actually have the dash kit butted up pretty closely to the actual electronics in the dash. Once we go in to mount the screen itself, we'll see exactly how much space is between the dash kit and the touch panel. This will dictate exactly how much compression will be needed on the rubber boot before we install it. At this point in time, you can probably see that there could be some manipulation of the dash kit mounts, and we can probably get the kit further back into the dash to get a more factory fit and flush look to the kit. Let's see if we can do that. In order for the touchscreen panel to fit flusher into the dash, I adjusted the screws for the radio module and the plastic mounting bracket and slid the entire assembly about 1/2 inch further back into the dash. Let's see how this fits. There. A lot tighter, custom fit to the actual dash. Before you make the installation permanent, this is when you want to check all the viewing angles for the touchscreen panel. You need to decide if you're going to use a horizontal mounting plate in order to tilt the radio 5 degrees toward the passenger, or turn it this way and tilt the screen 5 degrees toward the driver. You can also take the time at this point to insert the screws into the angle mount of the screen in order to go from 0 degrees to +8 degrees in order for the driver viewing angle to be optimized. Now it's time to mount the monitor. Make sure you've connected your 8-pin display power cable, your LVDS cable, and you've installed the rubber boot to hide any gap between the touch panel screen and the actual mounting bracket. Remember, hook the bottom pin in first, lock the 2 top pins so that the monitor is sturdy in the dash and will not wiggle as you drive down the street. Now that you've mounted the ELEV8 screen in the dash, your installation is complete. Always make sure your basic functions are working. Steering wheel controls are working, volume up and down, preset forward along with track forward, mode to select your sources, ensure that the backup cameras or left and right blind spot cameras or front cameras are engaging. This particular installation we only tied into the factory backup camera. Ensure that your CarPlay or Android Auto are working through your USB cable. We retain the factory USB. So we're going to connect one of our iSimple U-Links cables in here. Connect into our phone to ensure CarPlay is working. CarPlay is working in the screen. CarPlay is working perfectly. Thank you for joining us for this installation of the ELEV8 in a 2016 Toyota Camry. We'll see you in the next installation video.